Hey everybody, Bombastic Bill here, and as you can see, it's another beautiful day in Insert City here. No, I mean you guys can probably tell what city I'm from my accent. Although in college I was told that even though I'm from this, I've been born and raised in this city my whole life, I don't have that much of an accent. That's probably because even though my mom was from here, my dad is actually from Brooklyn, New York. So a little Joe Pesci Italian guy with a thick New York accent, so that might have canceled it out. Anywho's, I'm back to talk about some flat Earth stuff. My favorite subject. So I was watching a flat Earth video by I think the guy called BS Detector. Very strange set of videos. He talks like this and claims that when he and his wife were outside, they couldn't see any satellites. Anyway, this guy's claim is that, there should be a million satellites. He went to some website and they said there's up to a million satellites. Now, satellite just means anything that's basically orbiting Earth. Doesn't mean that it's actually a man-made satellite. Could be, tiny rocks that actually enter and burn up in our atmosphere as meteorites, to stuff that we do actually launch as satellites. And there's wildly different orbits. So you have stuff that's geosynchronous. You have stuff that's has pretty big apogees and perigees. So yeah, why don't you see it? Well, actually, I commented on his video, and I actually suggested to him to take a trip out west. My uncle owns, actually he just sold it, but he owned a place in Kingman, Arizona, which is in bumfuck nowhere, Arizona, and we would sit out at night, and you could literally see 5 or 6 satellites a night. You'd see this kind of blinky light thing that would go across that wasn't a plane, that was really high up, and it was obviously something in orbit around Earth that was reflecting sunlight. I don't know what a flat earther would say I'm seeing if that's not real. So yeah, they're very, even the man-made ones are very, very tiny compared to the size of the Earth. That's another thing too that these flat earthers really don't understand is scale. So, for example, when you try to explain to them that why a picture or a view looks like the horizon is completely flat, they have no understanding of how how subtle that curve actually is in the Earth. And basically, our size compared with the size of the Earth is ridiculous. It's completely massive. So yeah, when we have million satellites going around Earth, you're not going to see. It's not going to look like a swarm of flies at night going around the Earth. This guy in the video also brought up an illustration of the satellites that are going around Earth, and for people who are always laughing and complaining that NASA is using fake images or cartoons to illustrate what they see, why are then you yourself using a cartoon that's supposed to be illustrative and trying to prove a point? That's not what they actually look like. That's there. That picture is there just so you can get an idea of the location and how many satellites there are around Earth. The next big point is Google Maps. I'm sure as hell able to see my house from Google Earth. How did they get that picture? Were they flying around in an SR-71 instead of using a satellite? I'm pretty sure people would have noticed a Mach 3 spy plane going over their houses. And if not, or if they did, Google must own a oil refinery, because that would take a lot of jet fuel to basically circumnavigate or crisscross the entire world and take a picture with a camera. So I would really like to have a flat earther explain to me, if they don't really believe that satellites have been launched, then how do we get things like satellite imagery? How do we get things like global positioning system? How do things like satellite phones actually work? I've like many people, I've watched Deadliest Catch. I mean, they're out in the middle of fucking nowhere in the Bering Sea, and they're using satellite phones to talk to people, in fucking North Carolina or wherever they're calling. So it doesn't really make sense to me why you guys would believe that there wouldn't be any satellites in the air. It's just a very curious belief system of why you would think that way. And again, I really want to end with why I think they're believing this. It's a mixture of conspiracy and not understanding science, and not wanting to understand science. We've seen this time and time again, where we try to put out a valid argument either through using trigonometry or some other class called mathematics, and they say, "Oh, that's just numbers and that's just math." Not only are they dismissing your argument out of hand, they don't even want to understand. So again, it's kind of the person who never really understood math or science in school. They weren't really that popular anyway. They weren't like a jock or anything, and they never really understood math or science in school. And then, kind of years go by, and all of a sudden they're seeing the world kind of embracing geek culture. So people who are in STEM fields are making a lot of money, and they're highly valued. People are embracing nerd culture. All of a sudden it's cool to be a geek and everything like that. And they just feel all of a sudden really left out. They feel like they had a chance and they missed the boat. So what do instead of trying to get back on the wagon and understand some of these complex ideas? They turn against them and basically argue that these are all lies, that people are being brainwashed and they believe in lies. And I would love to do a study and see how many flat earthers are creationists and vice versa. But it's a very similar thing to creationists believe that evolution is actually a religion. Like, if you believe in evolution, you've been baptized by some guy dressed up like a monkey in Charles Darwin. But for other sciences, it's completely normal to believe in. But evolution is, you have to be baptized. I think for flat earthers, it goes even a step further than that, and it's like the theory of gravity and orbital mechanics are also religions to them. And they're really just sets of beliefs that people have observed and have been borne out to be true. And therefore they believe in them. They hold weight. Like a lot of people bring up, have we, sent probes or other, what am I trying to say? What are those things called? Just basically probes and like Voyager out to the solar system, not using the theories of Newtonian and Einsteinian gravity. Have we tried using other methods of calculation that flat earthers believe in? Because they don't believe, some of them don't believe in gravity. So where are those calculations? As Thunderfoot's keen on saying, science. It works, and it does. And the reason it works is because it doesn't assume that it's right from the get-go, and that's what I don't get. It's these flat earthers believe, oh, you're just blindly following science. No, that's not what science is about. Science is about saying we don't know everything, and let's find out. And only after you get test after test that is an agreement, and you're figuring stuff out. That's what I'm going through it right now at work. I'm doing a study, and what we're seeing is a drop in the gloss of one of our floor products over a period of 3 months. And we were in a meeting recently, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's got to be where it's at a retail store. It's got to be their maintenance. Their maintenance probably sucks, and they don't take care of the floors and blah blah blah." And I kind of brought the point that, wait a minute, before we go and blame the maintenance crew, let's think about the machine that's actually measuring. We have a device that actually measures the gloss here. Let's actually look at the device that's measuring the gloss and how we are taking the measurements ourselves before we go blaming someone else. So basically now what we're doing is a study where we have one set of data is taken like we normally would take, kind of randomly. Another set of data is taken in a very, very strict, it has to be in the same place each time. And what that's going to show us is who's right and who's wrong. Am I right? Is it the way we're taking data is really sloppy that's accounting for these drops in gloss? Or are they right? Is it their crappy maintenance system that's doing? We can hypothesize what it's going to be. Personally, I think it's going to be a mixture of both. But what's great about running tests is we're going to find out. We're going to find out which it is. So, and that's what, if that excites you at all, you can really call yourself a scientist, I believe. Okay? If trying to find something out that people did not know before is going to get your goat, like it does me, I'm a very curious person. I love seeing things. Then you know what? You can call yourself a scientist. Just a quick little rant on that while I'm thinking about it. This kind of angered me a little bit from Neil deGrasse Tyson, and when he went to define scientists, he basically defined scientists as anybody who has a master's or a PhD in the field, and that kind of angered me a little bit, because I have my bachelor's degree, and my job title is R&D scientist. So for him to say that you're not a scientist unless you pass a certain thing, I think is very exclusionary. I think you could be a scientist with an associate's degree or without a degree. It doesn't matter really your education. It really just matters your mindset. Are you willing to say, I don't know, let's keep testing to find out? That's really what a scientist does. So I do it on a day-to-day basis. I ask questions and I find out answers. And those just happen to be very valuable to a certain company that I work for. So it's a win-win situation for me. However, then you get these very anti-science people, these flat earthers, these jisms, these Eric Dubays, these Morgiles, who are distrusting of everything they see. They really don't want to believe it. They don't want to live in a world where that's correct. They want to live in a world where whatever they feel is correct is correct. They want to believe that NASA is hiding God. That's how ridiculous some of these people are. So, sorry I went on a little rant on this one. I've been getting some really encouraging comments from some of you guys, so keep liking and subscribing, and I will see you sometime next week. Have a great Saturday.